Hello, everyone. Um, I've got a message for you today that the Dryads gave to me the other day in the woods. They tried their hardest to show me, to explain what stone circles were for. And I think I've got the gist of it, but you'll have to let me know in the comments what you think from what they tried to show me. So I was walking through the woods and the Dryads were communicating with me, and they were talking about groves, groves of trees in the Druidic tradition. And they showed me um, a hole in the ground where the original tree, the ancient tree, had fallen down and left and obviously rotted away and left a hole, but there was still a circle of trees around. And they kept saying grove. And then they took me on a vision where they were trying to communicate with pictures more than words because the concept that they were trying to communicate. Sorry, I've got a dog down here. I don't know if you can see. There she is, causing chaos. The concept they were trying to communicate was so vast that they were trying to show me in pictures. So I took some notes on my voice notes, and I'm gonna just kind of read out what it was that I was getting from the message. So they showed me the original tree, the world tree. They showed me Yggdrasil, but also they showed me it like the very first tree there ever was on the planet. And you could take this as the tree of life, of all sorts of things we represent. But ultimately, they were trying to show me the very first tree there ever was on Earth. And then they showed me when it dropped its seeds, um, like they do, in life now, when the mother tree dropped its seeds, the trees that were spawned from its seed, they grew in a circle around it because where the tree canopy is, the roots are equal distance underground on oak and ash, the ones that we associate with the original trees, with the world tree, the tree of life. So the canopy above is really broad, and the roots are as broad underneath. So that tree, the original tree, the mother tree, is drawing all the nutrients and the water out from that diameter all around, from that sort of radius all around it. So that's why the seedlings started to sprout in a circle because they were only able to develop and grow and sprout on the edge of that because that's where the nutrients and the water started again and were not being drawn. So they showed me that. They showed me this kind of barren area around the original mother tree, and then the seeds being able to sprout in a circle. And this was the first grove. So they showed me the reason that groves form around one tree, a certain distance from the original mother tree. And they showed why it was circular. And then they showed the great tree, the original tree, falling and rotting and dying. And as it falls over, as you find in the woods, its roots pull up a huge circle, a hole of the dirt. So there is a large hole now in the middle of the circle of young trees. So in the grove, there is a hole where the original tree, the mother tree, the very first tree used to be. And then the Dryads told me that the circle of trees, the that remain, the young saplings, the babies, if you like, around the edge, although they might be fully grown trees by the time the mother tree actually falls over and rots down. They they told me they were called the sisters, okay, which is quite important. Um, And then they told me that the hole in the center that is left by the fallen and rotten mother tree is a sacred place because it marks where the mother tree, the original tree, the creator once was, right? This is really important. The hole at the center of the circle is a sacred place that marked where the creator once was. Then they showed me stone circles instead of the grove with a center stone. And they showed me it overlaid the hole at the center of the circle. Okay. And said again, this is a sacred place. This is the creator space. This is the mother, the original, the oldest ones in the center. The stone in the center of the stone circle is representative of that, not only the original mother, the first one, and the creator, and the children around the edge are the sisters, but they then showed me our galaxy, the circle. And so there was a strange sort of dichotomy then, because whilst they were showing me the galaxy, overlaid the stone circle with the stone in the center, overlaid the grove with the hole in the center, they were showing me both the sun at the center of our solar system and a black hole at the center of the galaxy at the same time that they were showing me the grove of trees with the hole where the mother had fallen, the creator had fallen, at the same time as they were showing me with the center stone on a stone circle. Like massive concepts to do with time and space and you know, astrological arrangements, but obviously there's galaxies throughout the universe, not just ours. So massive concepts. So I was trying to channel this and also understand what exactly they were trying to communicate to me. And then they said the sisters in turn, so the grove of trees that has formed, then become mothers themselves. So then they showed me other galaxies forming where the seeds had fallen again out of these sister trees that were originally part of the original grove. I mean, they were trying to communicate with me, I guess, about life propagating throughout the galaxy and well, throughout the universe. It was absolutely mind-boggling. But they were also overlaying, so they were sort of saying that it's the same on the macro in the macrocosm as it is on the microcosm. It's the same with the trees as it is with your stone circles, as it is with your solar system, as it is with your galaxy. Your galaxy, and then it is across the universe. They were trying to represent the same thing to me. And they were saying that the hole in the center is representative of the original creator. And so it's representative of the ancestors, and then the sisters around the edge of the stone circle or the tree or the grove or the are sort of a representative of then that line, the family line. the generations beyond that. So they were then talking about it, groves and stone circles and solar systems and then galaxies being representatives of generations and family groups, a lineage from the original ancestor that we, and then they said that we all descend from. And they were showing me like a stack of images, not just descending from the tree and then the human ancestors represented by the stones, but also the sun and then this black hole. It was massive. My poor brain was like, what? What? Where are we going with this? And so they were talking about the hole in the middle of all these things being a sacred space, a place of remembrance, they said, of the original ancestors, and then the generations of descendants represented by the stones and the planets, and then the other galaxies and the other trees. And they were saying they were trying to show me by making me feel this sense of reverence around this center point, because they tried to explain it to me like it's your grandmother, it's your mother. There's like a familial link for which you should feel a link, an emotional link and a love. But then obviously those trees outside of it, those stars, whatever, get the chance to make their own groves. And it was taught, they were talking about sisters, 9 sisters, and that then made me think of the Pleiades stars. They're called the 7 sisters, aren't they? And they sort of got excited then, and they were like, yes, yes, this is why the trees in the grove and the stars in the sky and the stone circles are all called sisters. That's why you use these words. You don't know why now because you don't remember, but this is why. And then they just showed me kind of it propagating out on and on and on and on and on, progressing with like generations of descendants of these trees and of the stones. And so they were linking groves and stone circles to like our concepts of creation and creation myths, and almost like the oral traditions of the kind of the Australian Aboriginal culture, where they have creation myths, but they've been passed on orally, where of course we've lost ours. And they were trying to say to me, the Dryads, that the groves and the stones are our remembrance of the creation myths. We've lost the words, but we've got the physical representation of them still there. Um, um, and then they were showing me that it was also done in a literal sense. So family groups or specific tribes building a stone circle because it was a direct link to their ancestors, but to creation. So there's like this thread. It's like they were showing me a thread that went from the Big Bang and all the creation of the galaxies and of black holes at centers and suns at centers of solar systems, and that thread tracing down directly to us as humans, represented by these stone circles, and the one in the middle that represented the same thing they'd shown me on the universal level, all the way down linked to the trees and the groves of trees and the circles of trees, how the trees themselves remember these things by the way in which they propagate themselves. So it's a link to their ancestors to the original ones, but also to creation on a like a physics level. And they sort of showed me this thread, and by this time my brain was like almost exploding. I was like, I'm not a scientist. They were desperately trying to communicate to me this concept, but even still, I've sat with this for days after speaking to them and them showing me this, because just trying to work it out, just going, what is it exactly? What is the point that you were trying to make to me? Yes, they're all linked. Yes, they're all representative of each other. Yes, they're all a reflection of each other. We're all trying to remember the same things. You're trying to teach me something about the creation of the universe at the same time as nature mirroring it and us mirroring it and us being of the universe and of nature. But my goodness me, I've still not got it. Not, not, no, there's so much more. I haven't got it. But they also then showed me that's why stone circles grew as communities grew. So they showed me rings being added to stone circles as the community grew, but with the original stone in the center for the original ancestor. Um, and they were showing me how each stone had a representative, um, just like each tree would have a dryad. And that we were much more aware of our role of guardianship at this time. So as the dryads protected their tree and were linked to its health and longevity, that its life, also we were linked to the stones, to the land, and then they were trying to obviously express to me that our longevity is then linked to how we treat nature. So I got that bit. That was quite simple. And so they were showing me that each stone itself had a representative, and that it was usually a woman, which is one of the other reasons they're called the sisters, right? Not just that they're linked to particular stars, but that they're also usually women linked to these stones. And they showed me, just like moot stones were meeting places in Anglo-Saxon times, stone circles had a representative for each stone from the community and from that family line that the stone represented, just like the tree in the grove. And the person representing that stone from that family line, obviously it would change, carried on the traditional role in ceremony and in reverence and remembrance, because obviously there's this thread to the ancestors all the way out to creation, the universe, the stars, and our understanding of the place in it. And as Gwynap Nuith told us the other day in his message, that some of these women, the sisters, are still bound to those stones. They either won't leave because they're still in death, still carrying out this role, still having this guardian role, still having this reverence to the ancestors, whilst also reminding us, even though many of us, can't see them or don't know about them, that they are in fact our ancestors held within the stones. But also that in later years, some of the stones were used for negative purposes, such as, punishing adultery or whatever. A woman would be, you know, tied to a stone or chased out to a stone and have things, thrown at her or whatever, or made to sleep out overnight at them as punishment. And obviously now, if they passed away for whatever reason, they're now bound to those stones as well, and they should not be. So I think from what they were trying to show me, a grove, a stone circle, is our remembrance, our traditional ancestral remembrance, even though we've lost the oral tradition of the creation myth, well, creation, physics, our understanding of the universe, the Big Bang, that there's a black hole at the center of the galaxy, potentially. This is what they were showing me, the hole. Um, that's why stone circles are linked to the stars, because they are trying to remember a much broader concept, a universal concept. Um, but they, but the crucially, dryads were drawing our attention to our relationship to all these things, and that we need to remember that we left them there so that we would remember our relationship to all these things, and the equality of them. They were very keen to show them all on top of each other. So the equal nature of the grove to the stone circle, to the solar system, to a galaxy, to the universe. Um, and the equal nature of the natural world, the celestial world, and the ancestral lines, our own ancestral lines as well, um, and our own power to operate and navigate all three. They were showing me that there was no difference in these things, almost like if we could only remember that we were part of all of these things, we could navigate them in equal ability. We would be equally able to converse with, relate to, work with, and navigate both the universal, natural, and human energy. It was like it was all mixed together as one great thing, energetically, I suppose. And that we are the key to the lock. We're the key that unlocks all of this. I don't know if you agree. That was my interpretation of what they tried to show me. I could be like wildly wrong, but it was very confusing. So I'd really love to hear your interpretation of what the Dryads tried to show me. I don't think they picked the right person to show, my God. But yeah, I'd love to hear your interpretation of it, because it's massive what they were trying to communicate. So if anyone could help me out with anything I've missed that might be glaringly obvious, please do. And I'll see you again soon.